Good morning and welcome. Councilmember Cordero, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Also, Councilmember Cordero, would you like to introduce our message of aloha?
Thank you, Chair Waters. It is an honor to have joining us here in the council chambers a friend, a colleague, and my neighbor with a huge heart for not just Council District 7, but beyond in our whole community, but also internationally. We have here with us today Jacob Aki, who is a lifelong resident of Council District 7. He was born and raised in Kapalama. He is a graduate of the Kamehameha Schools, the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and the George Washington University. Jacob is very active and in the community where he currently serves as the president of Hale'onali'i, president of the Oahu Council of the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, and serves as an executive board member of the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. Jacob currently serves as the public affairs manager for Alaska Airlines and lives in Salt Lake as my neighbor with his wife, Annie, and his two children, Lamaku and Lemaile. And everyone, please help me join me in welcoming Jacob Aki to the council chambers for a message of aloha.
Thank you. Aloha mai kako. As we gather on the eve of Prince Kuhio Day, it is both a privilege and a profound responsibility to reflect upon the enduring legacy of Prince Jonah Kuhio. His life and work embody the true spirit of aloha, a legacy of love, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the well-being of Native Hawaiians and all of the people of this great state. Prince Kuhio was not just a noble by birth, but a noble in spirit. His life was a testament to the resilience and perseverance of the Hawaiian people. Despite the overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom, Prince Kuhio's dedication to his people never wavered. He channeled his leadership and vision into a force for positive change, advocating tirelessly for the rights and welfare of his people within the context of the American political system. One of Prince Kuhio's most significant contributions was his work to pass the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act in 1921. This landmark legislation was not merely a political feat, it was an act of aloha, ensuring that Native Hawaiians would have land to call their own, preserving their connection to the Aina, to their culture, and to their cultural heritage. Through this act, Prince Kuhio sought to empower Native Hawaiians to provide them with opportunities for self-sufficiency and prosperity, and to secure their rights and dignity in a rapidly changing world. Moreover, Prince Kuhio's vision for self-governance and empowerment for his people led to the creation of the island county system. This pivotal development was aimed at bringing home rule power back to his people, fostering a sense of autonomy and local governance. By establishing a political structure that respected and integrated the unique needs and voices of our communities, Prince Kuhio laid the foundation for a more inclusive and representative government. This system has been instrumental in ensuring that the values, traditions, and priorities of all of our communities continue to shape our island's futures. Since we are here in Honolulu Hale, I would also like to invoke the names of Honolulu's first three mayors, Joseph Fern, John Avena Ikalani Ke'ahi Okalua Opele, Carrie Lane, and John Henry Wilson. These three men, like Prince Kuhio, were staunch loyalists to the Hawaiian Kingdom. While they belonged to different political parties, like the Prince, they understood the importance as Native Hawaiians to engage in the American political system. These three men helped to create the city and county of Honolulu that we know. Their efforts with the Prince were instrumental in shaping a governance system that respects and incorporates the voices and needs of our peoples. As we celebrate Prince Kuhio Day, let us remember that his work was an embodiment of aloha. He showed us that aloha is more than just a greeting. It is a call to action. Aloha is about recognizing our shared humanity, our responsibility to one another, and our connection to this Aina. It is about working tirelessly for the betterment of all, just as our Prince did. In honoring our Prince, we are reminded of the power of Aloha to inspire change and to build a more just, compassionate, and thriving state. Let us carry forward his legacy, not just in our words, but in our actions. Let us commit ourselves to the work of Aloha, to ensuring that the spirit of Prince Kuhio lives on in our efforts to uplift and empower the great people of our state. Mahalo nui loa for the opportunity to share this message. Let us go forth with courage and determination of our Prince, and let us make every day a testament to the enduring power of love. Mahalo.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Aki. Members F, some procedural announcements. Although remote oral testimony is being permitted, this is a regular meeting and not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology under HRS 92-3.7. Therefore, the meeting will continue, notwithstanding loss of audiovisual communication with remote testifiers or loss of the public broadcast of the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda, either in person, in the council chamber, or remotely. Before testifying, each person shall state their full name and the agenda item they are testifying on. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 3-minute presentation on public hearing and new business items, and a 1-minute presentation on all other items. Registered in-person testifiers will be called first. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium and begin by stating your name and the items you'll be speaking on. When I call for anyone who has not registered to speak in person, please line up to the right of the podium, and when it is your turn, proceed to the podium. Begin by stating your name and the item you will be speaking on. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or phone will then be called. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. When I call for anyone else standing by remotely, please utilize the Zoom raise hand button to indicate your desire to speak. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. The following are some friendly reminders and tips. Video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are also watching the proceeding on Olelo, please mute your device at the time you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. For those who are joining us by telephone only, I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, press *6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off your cell phones for the duration of the meeting. Council members and members of the audience, the following items were not posted on the agenda for consideration. On page 11, we have a proposed FD1 amendment to Bill 19 relating to housing. On page 15, we have a proposed FD1 amendment to Bill 26, 2022, CD2 relating to gifts to the mayor, prosecuting attorney, council members, and employees. On page 18, we have a proposed FD1 amendment to Resolution 24-52, requesting that the city administration provide an update on the fiscal year 2023 and 2024 appropriations for projects relating to affordable housing and homelessness. On page 23, we have a CD1 to Resolution 24-65, expressing the Honolulu City Council's strong concerns relating to House Bill 1630, HD1, and Senate Bill 3202, SD2, relating to urban development that was reported out of Committee on Planning and the Economy. Copies are available at the city clerk's office downstairs in room 203. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero,
Here.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam,
Here.
Councilmember Kia Aina,
Here.
Councilmember Okimoto,
Present.
Councilmember Say, Councilmember Talba,
Here.
Councilmember Tupola,
Ayo.
Councilmember Wire,
Here.
Chair Waters.
Here.
Mr. Chair, 9 members are present.
Thank you. Floor Leader Cordero, introduction of any guests?
Thank you, Chair. Along with members of the public, we also have here appointees, and I would also like to welcome Chief of Staff Andy Sugg, and I can't see if there's anyone else, but also directors of the city administration. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Approval of minutes, Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that the minutes of the 18th session be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
Thank you. Members who are in discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, the minutes have been approved. Moving to the top of page 4, order of the day. From the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 62 and Resolution 24-36 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This confirms the appointment of Marie Kumabe to serve on the Salary Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. Is Ms. Kumabe here? Aloha,
Hi,
welcome.
hi, Council Chair, Council Vice Chair, and Council members. Ms. Kumabe is out of town, but we in the administration want to thank you all for confirming her to the Salary Commission, and hopefully she'll be able to appear before you when she returns.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the Mayor's Chief of Staff? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no other testifiers.
Thank you. Members who are in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. Just some comments. I wasn't able to meet with her yet. I still hope to. It's always a struggle trying to find our schedules and get with all the appointees. And so we thank the mayor's administration for trying their best to try to get them in front of all of us. You know, I remain concerned that we need to have a balance on the Salary Commission as far as voices in favor of the community voice. It's important for me that boards and commissions represent the community voice. And I understand that the current sentiment in the Salary Commission is to increase pay so that we can attract the best qualified workers to be here in the city. And I think that's reasonable, but I also think that there needs to be some balance. I really strongly hope that she can watch this, and I'm still going to meet with Ms. Kumabe, but that she can be a voice of reason, because I think there needs to be a balance where we listen to the community's voice. This particular budget cycle, we're struggling with having all of our departments to cut back, and if it's a year where we don't do pay raises or increases, I think it's reasonable, seeing as though we're balancing the taking away of the SLRF, the ARPA funds. And so I do hope that she can be that voice of reason on the committee and really listen to the community. I feel like that's the main thing that we really depend on our boards and commissions, is to always incorporate the community voice in how they make their decisions, and not just consultants or analyses or market trends, because we want people in the city at the very lowest level, at the very commission level, to feel that we've heard their voice. So I'll be voting with reservations. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting the reservations of Councilmember Tupola. CR 62 and Resolution 24-36 CD1 has been adopted. Turning to page 5. Resolution 24-40, confirming the reappointment of Anthony Mizuno to serve on the Economic Revitalization Commission of the City and County of Honolulu. Is Mr. Mizuno here? Hello, Mr. Mizuno, come forward. Aloha, welcome. Would you like to say a few words? Can you push the button? There you go.
Am I on now? Thank you. Thank you for hearing me. Privileged to be considered to reappointment of the Revitalization Commission. We just started a year ago. I feel like we just got going, and I hope to continue the good work we've just begun.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, Resolution 24-40 has been referred to the Committee on Planning and the Economy. Members, turning to the bottom of page 5, Resolution 24-41, confirming the appointment of Jasper Wong to serve on the Commission of Culture and the Arts of the City and County of Honolulu. Is Mr. Wong here? No? We do have the Director of MOCA. Aloha.
Good morning, Council Chair, Council members. Ka'ili Trask-O'Connell, Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Culture and the Arts. Mr. Wong was unable to be here today, but we thank you for your consideration of his appointment to the Commission.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Director Trask? Seeing none, thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. Can the Chief of Staff come up? I just wanted to make a comment, and I meant to make a comment about gender equity on the Economic Revitalization Committee as well. But with regard to the Culture and Arts, if confirmed, we would have 7 men and 3 women, and then 1 vacancy. And so I know that you are just starting, but I want to let you know in general, and the mayor has done a great job on both the Police Commission and the Planning Commission, but when you are proposing nominations, you need to look at gender equity. And so I would appreciate if the 1 vacancy was a wahine, but it makes no sense right now for culture and arts to have 7 men and 3 women right now.
Yeah, Council Vice Chair, I think there are a number of vacancies that we're working on. I don't know that is, the list that you have is the exact list of the members on that council. So I'll get back to you on that, but we absolutely, when you and I met, we had a conversation about gender equity, and we are very, very focused and I think deliberate about that.
Okay, if you could just continue the good work that has already been laid. The Economic Commission also has 6 men and 3 women, and if I'm mistaken, I just want to make sure that as we move forward, you try to seek some balance.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupolo.
Well, we have the Chief of Staff up here. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
In regards to Councilmember Kiraina's comment, do you rely or ask the directors of the different departments to suggest these appointees for the boards and commissions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure Ms. Trask has some good recommendations that are wahine. So definitely echo those same sentiments. This is a no-brainer on this committee. It's real easy to get some good women that are on there for culture and the arts. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. And Councilmember Tupolo, I've reached out to MOCA Director Trask, and we are scheduling a meeting with her and her staff to get some nominees that represent, have much greater gender equity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, Resolution 24-41 has been referred to the Committee on Parks, Enterprise Services, and Culture and the Arts. Moving to the top of page 6, Resolution 24-42, confirming the reappointment of Michael Robinson to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation of the City and County of Honolulu. Is Mr. Robinson here? Aloha, Mr. Robinson. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Would you like to say a few words?
Good morning. I'm Mike Robinson with Hawaii Pacific Health. I've been on the commission now for 6 months, and honored to be back to be considered for reconfirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Robinson? Councilmember Tupola.
Just real quick, and I know you're up for reappointment, and we had a great first meeting. And these 6 months, 2 questions. How have you liked your time, and do you feel like what you guys discussed actually got implemented at the parks level?
Yeah, we've had 2 meetings, and we've spent a really good productive time figuring out our governance structures in terms of subcommittees. So I'm on the maintenance committee now, and we're actually having our first meeting that I'm attending this afternoon. So I could probably report back after that. But it's been good.
Thank you. That's good to know. I just, I'm not sure if you saw the budget briefings, but they went over the specific number of maintenance workers for each of the districts for parks. And specifically, my district was very understaffed. We have the lowest number. We had 0 compactors. We don't have second-hour shifts. So I think what the direction the director is going to try to find parity and fairness is what we really need. So if you could please, maintenance is maybe, I don't know for all of my coworkers, but for me, one of the main concerns people call me about is the parks and the condition of those parks, which goes back to how well we're taking care of maintenance. But on top of it, if we just don't even have the right number, we need you guys to advocate for more and kind of keep your eye on that parity, because the department has a lot of things to manage. So we are hoping that this board, now that it's active and you guys are finding your governance, can really help to steer it in the right direction. So thank you for your willingness to serve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Thank you very much for being willing to serve. My question is, and I've had experience working with former boards in Parks and Recreation in the last administration, and so I was wondering, how has your experience been to see that the boards in Parks and Recreation have moved into becoming more effective and efficient for making decisions for all the parks?
Yeah, again, I have no basis of comparison. I've attended 2 meetings. The 2 meetings that I have been to have been very productive, very well managed, very well organized, and I've been really impressed by the other people that are also on the commission, which is why, big reason why I selected. I think with the group that's been gathered to be on that commission, a lot will get done.
Thank you very much, and I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, members? Say none. Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, Resolution 24-42 has been referred to the Committee on Parks, Enterprise Services, and Culture and the Arts. Moving to the bottom of page 6, Resolution 24-43, confirming the appointment of David Scan to serve on the Grants and Aid Advisory Commission of the City and County of Honolulu. Hello, Mr. Scan. Thank you for being here. Would you like to say a few words? Actually, there you go.
Now I can go? Okay. Good morning and aloha. I'd like to thank the mayor and Sam Moko for their confidence in me for this appointment to the position of the Grants and Aid Commission. I'd also humbly ask for your confirmation of this appointment, and I look forward to serving you as best as I can and on behalf of the people of our community. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Scan? Seeing none, thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members are in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
I'm in strong support of the appointee, Mr. Scan. It was a great discussion that we had, and I really hope that he'll bring his different experience to the Grants and Aids Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Seeing none, Resolution 24-43 has been referred to the Committee on Budget. Moving to the top of page 7, from the Committee on Zoning, Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report Number 75 be adopted and Resolution 24-23 and the proposed Committee Draft 1 be referred back to the Committee on Zoning.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
The referral back to the Committee on Zoning is that we were approving a conceptual plan for an interim plan development transit project for the Chinatown Hotel development.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one person in the chamber.
Thank you. Allah, please proceed.
Good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Kiaina, members of the council. Thank you for this chance to testify on Reso 23-24. My name is Ivan Ho. I'm representing Unite Here Local 5. We represent 10,000 working people in the hotel, healthcare, and food service industries across the state of Hawaii. We stand on our testimony in support of Reso 24-23, approving a conceptual plan for a hotel at 128 North Nimitz Highway. We believe that the developer has shown a real willingness to work with the community on creating a thoughtful project that will play a positive role in revitalizing the downtown and Chinatown area. And we have the confidence that they will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, any questions for the testifier? See none. Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no other testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 75 has been adopted, and Resolution 24-23 and the proposed CD1 have been referred back to the Committee on Zoning. Moving to the top of page 8, first reading items. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that the first reading items listed on pages 8 to 12, except for Bill 19 on page 11 of the agenda, pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
Bill 11 relates to the legislative budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Bill 12 relates to the executive operating budget and program for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Bill 13 relates to the executive capital budget and program for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Bill 14 authorizes the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes of the City and County of Honolulu in a maximum principal amount equal to the aggregate of the amounts appropriated in the capital budget ordinance of said city and county for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, and specified in said ordinance to be financed from the proceeds of the sale of such bonds and to be expended from the General Improvement Bond Fund, the Highway Improvement Bond Fund, Solid Waste Improvement Bond Fund, or the Housing Development Special Fund. Bill 16, relating to the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation operating budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Bill 17 relates to the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation capital budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Bill 18 relates to Pound Masters.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chair. Bill 19 also relates to housing. Bill 20 relates to fines, fees, and other revenues of the Department of Planning and the Permitting. And Bill 21 relates to boards and commissions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, yes, we do, for starting on page 11. Right? How do we write this on? Yeah.
Is Natalie Iwasa available?
Yes.
I see her on the list.
Yes, I am.
Please proceed. Aloha, welcome.
Thank you, Natalie Wassa, for the record. I did submit written testimony, but I wanted to reiterate that I do not support any raises for council members this year. And for last year, the 64%, I asked that the public be informed what line items were changed in order to facilitate the payment of those, that salary increase that went through and is being paid currently. Thank you for allowing me to testify, Chair, council members.
Thank you. I note that you have registered to testify on Bill 11, Bill 16, and Bill 20. Would you like to proceed on any of those matters?
Yeah, sure. I might as well do, let's see, Bill 16 is the HART budget. And I wanted to let you folks know, in case you're not aware of this, that there is a different interpretation by the HART board of the budgets. And so I ask you to look into this. Basically, their interpretation is that, and I have to say I'm speaking in my individual capacity, not as a board member or authorized speaker. But I wanted you to check into that. The thought is that the board can change the agenda or the budget after you folks approve it. So I always felt like this exercise, if that's the case, this exercise of 5 readings of the HART budgets is just really a waste of time because they can change it. So I ask you to look at that. The other thing on this budget is that I oppose the $110,000 that is line item for the Hart Board to have a communications consultant. So thank you for allowing me to testify on that item. And then, was there one more first reading item? I'm sorry, Chair, I don't have that in front of me.
Two more, Bill 20 and Bill 21.
Okay, Bill 20, yes, thank you. Bill 20 is, would set up a new fund for the Department of Planning and Permitting, and I oppose that. You know, the real property tax is the foundation of our city funding, and every time we set up a new fund, we chip away at that foundation, and it creates less flexibility in the budget when things are tough and we need to put aside a certain amount for these extra funds. So I oppose that. And then with respect to, Bill 21. Okay, so Bill 21, I had a question on, I was surprised to see the inclusion of the Real Property Tax Advisory Commission. That commission was set up in 2011, and it's a council commission. It, as I recall, it has not met every year. It's just kind of at the wish of the council. And so I ask you to look at that. And if it is required to go through this 5-year review, I would support keeping that commission and having them provide advice to you folks annually. Thank you so much for allowing me to testify.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Iwasa? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Ms. Iwasa, for being with us. I just wanted to make note that I am tracking with you on your suggestion regarding communications line item for the Hart Board budget. I did ask that question to our CEO, Lori Kahikina, as well. So hopefully I'll be able to bring up that concern and maybe amend. Thank you for all of your, noting of the other bills. I agree with you on multiple parts of your conversation, including, not having those pay raises this year for council members, seeing as though the budget is something that we're discussing heavily right now. Thank you so much for your participation. Aloha.
You're welcome. Aloha.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Iwasa? Seeing none, thank you very much. I also note Karen Tokoyama has signed up to testify on Bill 12. Mr. Clerk, is Ms. Tokoyama available?
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Thank you. I also note Zoltan Rudolix has signed up to testify on Bill 19.
Mr. Chair, that testifier is also not logged on.
Thank you. Is Victoria Johnson available on Bill 20?
Try. Hold on.
Hello?
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Aloha, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please proceed.
Yes, I'm Victoria Johnson. I bought my house in 2005 to retire here and to be a landlord while I worked in the mainland. And I found dealing with the Department of Planning and Permitting, they keep changing their rules. And I suffered one of the $10,000 arbitrary fines. They only sent a document from a screenshot. And there was no way, it's a real miss when you're dealing with the DPP. So to give them the power to fine as well as keep the funds for their department seems to be inappropriate. They do not have any personal format or professional format in terms of payment replans. It's all done by, here's your fine, this is what we've assessed, and you need to pay it. And before I could even refinance my property to pay it, they put a lien on my property. So it's been a real anxiety situation with the Department of PPP. So before we go giving them the range to use their own fines for their own personal agenda of fining citizens, I think we should rethink that process. It shouldn't be given to them until they get their house in order, get their process in order, tell us what the rules are so we all clearly understand them. They keep changing them. And there's just no way you can't even get to the Zoning Board of Appeals when you're trying. There's nothing, there's no form. And so it was very frustrating for me to go through the process. So I think that's a very bad incentive. You're going to incentivize those that give out the fines to get more fines because they get the funds. And I don't know if it's true or not, but one of my neighbors told me that they are awarding bonuses to those enforcement officers that write fines.
Thank you.
And I think that's inappropriate, so that's being done.
Thank you for your testimony. Members, any questions for Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, I have written testimony submitted too.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers on first reading items?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the registered testifier list.
Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thanks so much, Chair. So I just have some comments on 4 different bills, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Is it okay to just go through it?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So first off, I just want to thank the budget chair. You know, our briefings for budget were just, for me, very bearable, very organized. I actually enjoyed all the presentations. So I want to thank her and her staff for doing such a great job and also being mindful of the amount of hours that all of us were trying to put in to listen. It was a great experience this year. So, you know, for Bill 12 for the operating budget, I know I said a little bit of it earlier, but I have to say it again. You know, every council member gets concerns, and my top 2 are always parks and public safety, always, hands down. So I've wondered for a long time about why our parks just really needed help on the west side. And I just want to thank again, Director Thielen for putting up a very clear chart of how many maintenance workers we had, which I found out later after after I got elected that we were working with literally 1 person for many, many of the parks that we have, which is unacceptable. So I'm very much in support of these budget suggestions from DPR to try to find parity. We have 0 compactors. We need night shifts. So we have nobody on the west side that works afternoons or nights, but we have a high amount of parks that have permits, which means that there are people there all through the night, all through the weekend. And we've had this concern, which is why previously I tried to suggest like a 24-hour line. You were suggesting park rangers. It's because we just didn't have the coverage. But if we go down to the base, which is maintenance workers, and just today we appreciated all the, city bus maintenance workers. It's what we do in the city. So I just want to say thank you for that and just continue. I'm going to be continuing to support that in these upcoming amendments. Secondly, the mayor did bring up in his conversations at the state of the city that we have a live scan machine. There was $300,000 released for the station. We just heard about the $25,000 bonus for officers, of which we desperately need to fill our over 400 vacancies. But you know what we need? We need retention bonuses to try to keep some guys in the department because it's the helping guys in, but also the amount of guys that are leaving. So I am going to encourage us as a body, but also, the chief and HPD to really heavily consider that because that's not something we can do. They would have to collectively bargain for something like that. And we want to make sure that the efforts we put in for retention are also held up on the back end. So personally, for the operating budget, I'm in support and look forward to some amendments. For the capital budget, I just wanted to make 2 comments about infrastructure. We talked a little bit about it in our conversations, but 2 pieces of infrastructure that are heavy for me are always going to be drainage and intersections. Specifically, Kula Aupuni drainage is one that I put in last year. Thank you to Haku, but we did hear that DDC is heavily understaffed. We've been really struggling because these areas that get flooded in my district that are, historically farm areas, there's no sewage, there's no drainage, there's no gutters. And so it's not just that there's water everywhere, it's that it damages surrounding properties. So I am hoping not only to put it in the budget, but that the administration will take it, seriously, that these issues, however we do it within all of the departments, need to be handled right away. Secondly is the stoplight that I put in for Kama'aha and Kapolei Parkway is right in front of that new affordable housing we did with the villages at Kapolei, and it's going to be deeply affordable. I mean, this is one that really the city should put a feather in their cap because $400 is like the studio price, which we have nowhere. So it's going to be really affordable, but no infrastructure in front. So we have kids trying to cross the street. We have cars flipping over in the intersections. And it's one of those things where we put in housing and then think about infrastructure after. And we really got to think about infrastructure in Kapolei. So for the capital budget, those are the 2 things that I'll be looking for. Thirdly, I do want to say that I also oppose any of us putting fines into a fund for DPP. And the reason I say that is because, you know, for police officers in trafficking, our tickets actually don't go to the department. So there is no incentives for them to continue to ticket and then get more funds, of which that is, it's unfortunate, right? Because we would love for those funds to go to us at the city. But it also separates us from using fines as some type of punishment or way for us to raise money for the city. So I do think that I applaud all that my colleague does. Definitely love my neighbor right here. But I think that for us, we really need to think about ways that we can help the department, put it in a line item, and maybe not create a fund for that. Lastly, with Bill 21, I support it. I'm glad that we talked about it, and now we're trying to put some action towards that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Just to clarify, is that a no on Bill 20?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Cordero, followed by Councilmember Say.
Thank you. My discussion is in relation to Bill 20. I want to thank the introducer of the bill for allowing me to provide input along with his explanation of the bill as a release, because it's really good to show the different concerns and pros relating to allowing, you know, for this moment, a DPP to be self-sustainable, but also I guess, the special fund. However, I do not think that we should put DPP, allow DPP to have a special fund. There are concerns that I will not reiterate from Councilmember Tupola, but also I mentioned in the quote, along with the release with Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, that we should not aim to continue to have DPP continue to receive fines or revenues through fines and fees, but allow it to become a system or strive for a system where we don't have to catch people and fine them. And also, I do not think that we should seek to make them self-sustainable through those revenue means. And with that, I will be voting no on Bill 20.
Thank you. Councilmember Say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll be speaking in strong support from Bill 11 through 17. If you don't mind.
Please proceed.
And I want to thank the budget chair for an excellent job last week in the budget presentation. Also, the fact that this being first reading and having the opportunity of really dissecting the budget, I'll have to say that I want to thank the administration for submitting a balanced budget at this point in time also. But first and foremost, Bills 11 through 17 really gives the general public an overview of how county government spending is done. On the flip side of it, which I've shared before in the past, is that the general public has to realize that the only source of revenues is our real property tax. And I hope that someday that my colleagues across the street will look into giving or sharing some of the fines that we have through Traffic Violations Bureau. I hope this is off the record, but I'll be honest that the legislature, if they do pass anything with recreational marijuana, Mr. Chair, that they're going to ask the City and County of Honolulu, Kauai, Maui, and Hawaii that we do the enforcement of the law that they pass, that there be some funding attached to it, because it's going to be a slippery slope, passing a measure like that, and then there's no enforcement. So I just share this as far as what's happened this past week, and I want to thank the administration for focusing a lot of their attention as far as what the council members had in mind: affordable housing, homelessness, public safety, et cetera. And finally, I was very much impressed with some of the funding and acquisitions of how we were trying to address the financing of HART through real property tax, which is the EVLA project that they have in mind. So in closing, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair Cordero, for an excellent job last week. And let's move forward with the Hawaiian word saying imua. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Wire, followed by Councilmember Tolba.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify, because I thought I might have misheard Vice Chair. It said Bill 19 was being taken separately.
Correct.
Okay, mahalo.
Councilmember Tolba.
Thank you, Chair. Bill 20, this is in regards to Bill 12. With reservations, we came into the budget season hearing that many of the departments will be cutting back, but after sitting through departmental hearings, and briefings, I think what we hope for, or we hope more than what was presented. So, but after hearing the mayor's State of the City address, I'm optimistic about the direction of the administration in prioritizing the voice of the people by creating, like Councilmember Tupala said, roving parks, park teams to keep our parks clean, especially in working with creating a Department of Public Ocean Safety. We are still early in the budget process, and I look forward to seeing how we can work to create a sound budget that is balanced and puts the needs of the community first.
Thank you very much. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. This is in regard to Bill 20. I appreciate my colleagues' concerns, and I hope that this is something we can explore during the committee process. You know, I introduced this bill not because I think that a special fund for DPP is a silver bullet for all the numerous issues that we continue, frankly, almost at every one of these council meetings to be discussing, but because I think that we need to explore every available option to us. I'll make a few notes that this year's DPP request for FY25 at $37, almost $38 million is more than twice what they asked for in FY15 just 10 years ago. This department has grown in terms of their needs, the things that we need to do to fix them, but I think if you ask the public whether the permits, the permit processing, whether the enforcement of our laws, I think that they would find that it's not twice as good, even though the budget request has gone up 200% since then. On the revenue side, DPP gets its revenues from fines, yes, but they also get it from processing permits. In fact, that's the primary source. And the revenue that DPP brings in from processing permits has not gone up substantially. From FY23, they brought in about $27 million. In FY15, that was 23.5. Their revenue hasn't gone up. Their processing of, these permits is not at a point where I think that we can say that the department is, I mean, they are on the upswing, but I don't think we're anywhere near solving the issues here. And so I think we need to have this discussion on the permit processing time. I know that my colleagues have expressed concerns about the fines, about whether the department's going to go out. As Councilmember Tupola mentioned, whether they would go out and, like people allege that the police do, just sit there with the speed gun and try to get traffic fines. I don't think DPP, the notion is not for DPP to go out and cite every single person and collect every single dollar, but I will note, there's an illegal short-term rental in my district that has $10 million in fines accruing, $10 million. And we have not collected a single dollar from this guy. And yet, DPP is here asking for twice as much as they did 10 years ago to run their department, and they haven't gotten a single dollar from this guy who I think we can all agree we have no sympathy for. And I'm sure there's an instance like this in everyone's district, and so I think we should have this conversation, and I look forward to having it, and if anyone has any better ideas to improve DPP, let's do those. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, any testifiers? Any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one person online with a hand raised. I think it's Chun James.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Thank you. I hope you all are doing well. I just want to very briefly say that every year we go through this ritual, and every year the mayor has increased the budget. When is that going to be a mindset to cut the pork and trim the fat? It is also concerning to see the city allocating projected revenues, with most of it coming from property taxes. And we know that property taxes have gone up every time, and the last few years it has just gone off the chart. I don't know if we're living in the same Oahu, but the people I know are struggling. I have so many retirees who are asking us for work. Do you have any yard work? Do you have any handyman work? Because they're all trying to make ends meet. The rising costs and the financial pressure is very, very real. And we saw it just recently in the Sweet family in Manoa. they were crushed by worries and crushed by rising cost of living. So I sincerely, every year I hope for decades now that there will be a new mindset that we will want to trim the fat and cut the pork. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, noting, I was just informed by the clerk that we do not have to take a roll call where there is a no vote. So the motion is to pass all items on first reading, noting a no vote for Council Member Tupola and Cordero on page 12, Bill 20, and a reservations by Council Member Tolba for Bill 12 on page 8. Any other reservations or no votes, members? Councilmember Wire.
Reservations on Bill 20.
Thank you.
Chair, reservations on Bill 20 also.
Thank you, Councilmember Matt Wire and Augie Toba. Any other reservations or no votes, members? Okay, thank you. First reading items on page 8 to 12, except for Bill 19 on page 11 of the agenda, have passed first reading. Thank you, members. Turning now to page 11, Bill 19, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Bill 19 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This bill relates to housing. It addresses housing in the city, including establishing a resident preference in the city's housing programs.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to amend?
I move that Bill 19 be amended to the hand-carried FD1. And the hand-carried FD1 was submitted by myself. It is OCS 2024-0275 3/21/2024 at 4:13 p.m. And it makes the following amendments. It amends Section 2 of the bill, which proposes the enactment of ROH Chapter 1 of a new ROH article titled Resident Preference in City Housing Programs as follows. 1, it amends proposed ROH Section 1-.2 to remove definitions of terms that will no longer appear in the bill after the removal of sections 3 and 4 of the bill. And it adds a new proposed section 1-.4 to authorize the department or agency designated by the mayor to adopt administrative rules to implement the new article. Also B, it removes section 3 and 4 of the bill, which would have added a new section 32-2 under permitted rates and amended ROH section 29-1.5 for the affordability period respectively. And C, it removes section 5 of the bill, Ramsayer clause, because of the bill as amended would no longer include any underscored or bracketed material, and renumbers section 6, the effective date clause, as section 3 accordingly. And D, makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers on Bill 19?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion on the motion to amend. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the motion to amend, I want to note that the provisions, section 3 and 4, that are being proposed to be removed from the bill relate to the rules that the mayor just signed on Friday. I want to actually applaud the administration for pushing forward on affordable housing proposals. The mayor signed those rules, and thus the proposals in section 3 and section 4 would be redundant and unnecessary. So thank you, Councilmember Cordero, for being akamai and noting that the mayor signed the rules and proposing to take them out here. So then we have a clean bill that focuses on the resident preference in city housing programs, which is based on Boston's, which has stood up in court and has a very broad definition of residency, which includes not just Oahu residents per se, but also includes individuals who are residing here, such as COFA migrants who are residing here, count under the definitions on the state side of residency in HRS 235-1, as well as other provisions relating to things like Medicare. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I'm gonna just no reservations. And fully support the intent, and I appreciate one of the introducers' explanation. I do think that we want to focus on creating housing opportunities for our local residents, and appreciate the amendments to the bill. I do think that my preference, of course, is to focus our efforts on maybe the root cause of the problem, which I would say would be the more affluent folks maybe investing in properties and buying properties and converting them to either vacant homes or vacation rentals. And so do look forward to the continued discussion on the rental relief bill. I know folks have been talking about since we did the PIG on, maybe providing a lower rate for folks that are renting versus those that want to just opt to keep their home empty. But I'm just concerned and, appreciate Tyler's, acknowledgement that we want to ensure that housing providers don't get any, indication that we want them to be searching through, immutable characteristics when we're looking at housing opportunities, because of course, co-for migrants in particular already face a lot of barriers when they're trying to get housed. And so even if, the use resources for, I don't want to suggest or make it seem that, poor individuals or lower income individuals are part of our housing problem. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Cordero.
Chair, I would like to know if, I would like to query if my budget vice chair has reservations with a motion to amend, as that's the motion we are on.
Councilmember Wire.
Oh, no reservations for the motion to amend. Thank you for clarifying that, budget chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations?
Chair,
Pardon me. Councilmember Say.
I just have a question on the process.
Okay, please proceed.
This being first reading, we had no discussion on it until now. So the floor draft one that they're proposing, that becomes the original draft of the measure before us?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to know what was the intent. If the intent was to have it as a FD1 now, without going back to the original bill, I'd rather learn about the original bill first before the proposed amendment is submitted. But I'll go with reservations also.
Understood. Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. In favor of the amendment, and just to further add on, what had happened was in January, there was a hearing over admin rules for DPP regarding affordable housing. We discussed this a little bit in the budget hearings, that should those admin rules be in DPP? Well, currently they are there, and that's where they're going to exist until they move to a different place. And so those two admin rules had an effect on this bill, of which all of that changed when the mayor and the department head for DPP agreed that those admin rules could be amended. So just to further clarify that this is moving in the same direction, but because there was movement on the admin side, there was this amendment, and I was in favor of the amendment that was proposed. Many people trying to do affordable housing were being, I think, not prohibited, but held back a little bit by rules that really we shouldn't be governing. I mean, one of them was as simple as us trying to determine, the debt ratio of what affordable housing people should have in order for them to qualify, of which a bank should do that, not us. We are not the lenders. And so if you read through the suggestions, it made sense. So I'm in support of the amendment, and I'm in support of the underlying bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify, Councilmember Say, your reservations is to the bill itself, not the amendment. Yeah, okay. Any further discussion, members, on the motion to amend? Seeing none, noting no objections or reservations on the motion to amend, Bill 19 has been amended to the hand-carried FD1. Any objections or reservations to waiving the Council Rule 19G, the 48-hour notice? Seeing none, the 48-hour notice has been waived. Now we're on discussion for the FD1, noting reservations from Councilmember Wire and Say. Any further discussion? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. I'm actually looking forward to having a dialogue in committee on this bill, because it gets to the heart of what we're we're trying to achieve, and that is how do we legally provide an avenue for there to be a priority or preference for residents. And so during hearing, I look forward to that dialogue on the legality of it as well as the scope. Does it include city-owned properties, 201H projects, federally funded programs, projects under Bill 1 and Bill 7, and awardees from the Affordable Housing Fund? So look forward to this dialogue and support the introduction of this measure and moving it forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very honored to be able to co-introduce this bill because not only will this allow for the residents, but of course, those under HRS Section 235-1, but also to discuss this further on the floor, but also to promote the furtherance of city housing programs as well, as we all know that housing is an issue for our island. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting the reservations of Councilmember Wire and Say, Bill 19 FD1 has passed first reading. Thank you, members. Turning now to page 13. Page 13 from the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Cordero.
Okay, I move that Committee Report 59 be adopted in Resolution 24-50 pass second reading.
Councilmember Wire for the second.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
Resolution 24-50 initiates amendments to the revised charter of the City and County of Honolulu, 1973, amended 2017 edition as amended, relating to the establishment of a Department of Ocean Safety.
Thank you very much. I note we do have a number of registered testifiers, starting with Sarah Fairchild. Is Sarah Fairchild available?
Hi, I'm Sarah Fairchild. I'm the Executive Director of the Outrigger Duke Kahanamoku Foundation. I'm also a founding member of the Hawaii Water Safety Coalition, and I was on the Mayor's Ocean Safety Task Force. And I'm testifying in strong support of the creation of a separate Department of Ocean Safety. Further, I strongly support that ocean safety and all public safety departments be overseen by commissions rather than solitary appointed department heads. It's a national best practice when the focus is on saving lives. We need transparency, accountability, and an additional layer of scrutiny to potentially reduce misconduct and ensure that department actions align with community expectations and putting saving lives first. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Fairchild? Seeing none, thank you. Next, we have Bruce Lum, followed by Brian Phillips.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Lum is not logged on.
Okay, is Mr. Phillips available?
Aloha, Chair, and members of the council, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Please proceed.
Mahalo. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I am in strong support of Resolution 2450. I support a commission, and much like Sarah's testimony, I support transparency in the public process. I was a member of the Mayor's Task Force, and I, again, support commissions across all public safety organizations, ocean safety, EMS, and to mirror much like our brothers and sisters in the fire department and the police department. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Phillips? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Phillips. Next, we have Raquel Achiu.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Thank you. Raquel Achu, North Shore. Aloha Council, mahalo for this time. In strong support of Resolution 2450. I've said it a million times, you know, it's a long overdue process. We've been going at this for a few years now. It is time to provide our water men and women with an efficient and effective operation. that supports them wholly. Whichever way it is designed or implemented to be directed, I strongly encourage the community support and input to really kind of focus in on the accountability and transparency of the direction that supports our entire community. I'm sure you'll hear from me again. So I appreciate the time and look forward to seeing this through and seeing it at its completion. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Ware.
Quick question, Chair Mahalo. Aloha, Ms. Chu.
Yes, hello.
Just wanted to maybe flesh out when you talk about transparency and you mentioned multiple options. Like, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, what transparency would materialize depending on the structure and how that would work, if that makes sense. So I think you mentioned the charter amendment and also mayor's discussions. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd welcome it.
Yes. Well, ultimately, the goal was to get a department all these years, and that is, a lot more encouraged now than I've seen it in the past. But ultimately, the direction and its leadership, I believe, would benefit from more community, whichever way it is directed. I understand that the mayor has the power to implement this without it going to ballot. Whichever way this goes forward, I do believe it's critical to have our community also part of the implementation or oversight of the department, whether it be through commission or a board, even under a director. I'm not sure how that would be implemented, but a more balanced, I guess is what I'm looking for, a more balanced review or oversight for the department to be sure that the community is included. I've seen more community inclusion within this council than I've ever seen in any body of government in many, many years. And I'm encouraged that hearing the community's part in any direction that services them is critical.
Okay. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chu. Next, we have Robin Bond Jr. Hello, Mr. Bond.
Hello, Robin. Vice Chair of Hawaiian Ocean Safety Team, and thank you for letting me speak. I think this is, with respect to the commission, I was asked earlier my opinion on how a commission would be developed or how we would select the people, and I apologize for, wasn't thinking that a question was going to come my way, but I was overwhelmed because there's a lot of people in Hawaii that have a lot of expertise, some of them are in this room. With respect to that, I'd like to just address it. It seems to me that because we have an abundance of people that have a lot of both expertise and leadership pertaining to water safety, I would hope that the commission would be established with some diversity so that we have expertise from not just water safety standpoint, but we also would have people that have some training in other things, because water safety doesn't just involve the lifeguards and what they do. As far as the transparency thing goes, I think a commission would allow the public to be engaged if they chose to have public hearings and give the community an opportunity to address things that are particular to their specific needs. That would be outstanding because it would give them a better understanding of things. I mean, they're not going to be able to know everything. If we get a whole host of people that have different backgrounds in the mix, people that deal with snorkeling, diving, fishing. My father he wrote the master plan for Hanama Bay, and over time, that has become what we have today. If you ask him, and I asked him this because I knew I was going to be up here talking about this, he said that a reflection of the commission the diversity of the commission would be probably the best thing we could have. Because if we just have lifeguards in the seats, we're just going to get their opinions, and that's not. I don't think that's the way that this is supposed to work. We have fire department people, but they're not allowed to get in the water after the sun goes down. That's their policy, and there's this gray area when the sun's starting to go down, and it's tricky. But especially also the budget issue. I think that's important that the the financial side is something that is assessed by a commission, not just a single point of leadership, because, I mean, Hawaii is Hawaii. We know what that does. But I think I'm out of time. But I just want to thank you guys for considering this. It's a really big, it's a big issue to me because I'm in the ocean a lot and I work with host. But it's also something that I think is meaningful because we rely so much on Hawaii. And if people start drowning on a regular basis, people might not decide to come here too much anymore. And I don't know how much money we pull from tourism, but it's quite a bit. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. In support then, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, in support. Okay. I'm new to this. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Oh, we have a Councilmember Tupolo.
Sorry, yes, thank you. Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, I think we have Chief Tidgens here. Is he here? Okay. I'd just like to ask a quick question to the current Ocean Safety Division. Maybe we should mute. Okay, we're good. Aloha, Chief, how are you?
Aloha, Councilmember. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, Council members. I'm John Tinchin, Chief of Ocean Safety.
Just two quick questions. Okay. I think we'll just wait a second for Darth Vader to go to sleep. Okay. My first question is... Are we good? Okay, thank you. I do know that you guys hosted a group here recently, and I just wanted you to share because they brought it up briefly. They brought it up briefly in the budget hearings, but who was the group? Why were they here? And how does that pertain to ocean safety? Because I heard it was a great experience.
Which group?
So I think you guys hosted like an I don't know if it's out of country or out of state group trying to show them what ocean safety does here.
Oh, yes, we did. So we work with the other counties all the time. We recently did a rescue watercraft exercise. We also partner very effectively with a lot of community members, some of whom spoke. We're doing an annual aquatic safety day in the state in August. We partner very well with various organizations around the state. We're really trying to bring this collective effort together. And so I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah. I think one of the comments that was made is just because it's so unique here and now we've taken it so far as the level of ocean safety that people like even in Japan are interested in learning more about this because they don't currently have the level of what we're doing for rescues and for just safety on the shoreline. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilmember, that's correct. We really are the leading edge of life saving in the nearshore environment around the world. Our facilities don't match where we should be, in my professional opinion, as I have seen other agencies around the United States sort of take leaps and bounds past us with respect to equipment, personnel, operating hours, even something as simple as a structure of a maritime first responder organization, such as the one that I'm very blessed and fortunate to lead. We have an opportunity here to move into the 21st century with this group of lifeguards. They are the best in the world. They're a little crazy, but you kind of have to be to put your own life on the line for someone else. And that's not a laughing matter to them and something that they take very seriously. We're so pleased and proud to see the energy from our mayor and from the city council toward this collective effort. We're very, very humbled.
Yeah, no, I think we saw that when Luke Shepperson won the Eddie. We were like, these guys are nuts. They're ready to rush the waves, even between shifts. So my last question for you is, I know you have most of what you need if a department was stood up this fiscal year, but what other positions would be crucial to making a department functional? And did you see that in the suggested budget amendments?
Thanks, Councilmember. I've been asked this question before. This is the third iteration before the City Council. The state legislature has actually asked this administration as well for some hard numbers, which I've generated, and I show that we need an admin staff right now of about 9 personnel. If I had ever had a chance to speak directly with the mayor, I would have recommended that. I've never actually had a conversation with the mayor about ocean safety, just one-on-one. And I think what I would recommend respectfully is that as we take on this initiative, to consider making this its own department, to do so slowly, deliberately, and with as much patience as we can while walking through each of the steps. You cannot create a public safety agency overnight. That's ludicrous. I think it's better to allow the community to have engagement and allow the community to watch the steps that are being taken. A commission works. In many municipalities in the United States, there are elected sheriffs or appointed fire chiefs. For our island community, for the reasons you've identified, that we are a leading organization to the world, not just the United States. In my professional opinion, a commission here works the best because it allows the community to have engagement. As some of the testifiers noted, you would have some expertise from outside the watermen and waterwomen community, but we have plenty of experts within the watermen and waterwomen community who could help lead this. I think overall, I think this effort has truly awed us as humble public servants, and hopefully I answered the question, but it's about $1 million in salaries for 9 positions. We would need a structure similar in scope to the fire department, but obviously smaller and more measured.
Did you see those 9 budgeted positions in this proposal from the admin?
No, I have not.
Okay, so in the works is where we're at.
I really don't, I haven't had that communication, unfortunately, with the administration. I really don't. I was caught off guard by the mayor's State of the City address last year in 2023. No one had mentioned to me beforehand that he would be speaking. I was asked to supply some names for a task force. I think a task force could have been assembled that was far more robust and more representative of the community and of this groundbreaking initiative. This is not a small, trivial point to consider making ocean safety its own department. No, I didn't see that in the budget, and I haven't had that opportunity to engage at that level. That's one of the reasons I do stand in strong support of this resolution, is I do believe it would put a maritime safety expert at the table with the executive decision makers to ensure that advocacy for towers, for mobile personnel, for a crucial first responder organization on an island of 1 million residents, I would hope that would enter into the conversation.
Thank you, Chief, for your explanation. Thank you, Chair. I have comments, but I'll wait if there's other further questions.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Titchen? Seeing none, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'd first like to start off with a quote from the great Voyager Nainoa Thompson. He said, "When people come together around a common vision, they can accomplish great things. We need the instruments that pull our people together, not apart." Nainoa is referring to the people of Hawaii, our community members, and the people who are not necessarily in 4- or 8-year elected terms, but the people who will stay for generations to come. I echo the sentiments of Ms. Achu that high inclusion of the community is the right way to go. O ke kahua mamua mahope ke kukulu. This is why it's important for us to set the foundation first and then the building. An Ocean Safety Commission can only be created through this resolution, 2450, approved by the council and voted on by the public. Can you imagine setting a strong foundation of ocean safety commissioners like Brian Keaulana, Billy Pratt, Sarah Fairchild, Tim Gary, Carissa Moore, Dwayne DeSoto, Tony Moniz, Nainoa Thompson, Keone Downing, Kanani Ori, or others, along with the community, shaping the policies and procedures of an ocean safety department? These are just some examples of watermen and waterwomen who have been fighting for this initiative for decades. This critical voice from the community can only be incorporated through this resolution, creating a department and an Ocean Safety Commission. There should be some added costs created for the foundation of such an important department, and it is justified. Based on the analysis just shared by the chief, maybe around $1 million, not very many more positions, but a good foundation to stand up the department properly. These positions would be a secretary reporter for the commission, a procurement officer separate from emergency services to handle purchasing for the new department. Although OSD has the majority of the employees necessary, some strategic budget adjustments, maybe in this budget or maybe in next year's budget, for a new commission would build a sure foundation for this department. Past charter amendments voted on by the public have successfully led to the creation of other departments and offices. Just in 2016, the Office of Department of Land Management, or the Department of Land Management was created. The Office of Climate Change and Sustainability was also created through a charter amendment. 2 years ago, the Office of Council Services, an important but obscure support service for our council, was voted on by the public, added on to the charter, and it passed. Charter amendments do pass. The public has created departments in the past, and we should trust their decisions at the ballot. We should want their input. We should not be fearful. We should be hopeful. I introduced this resolution because the time has come. Last year, 17 positions were added to Ocean Safety Division. The first new lifeguard tower in 11 years was put at Kahe Point in my district. The mayor announced that he supports this, and as soon a new stand will be built in Kailua. I believe that the time is now for us to move forward with the Commission of Watermen and Waterwomen to choose a new chief. Let's move with some budget amendments that will correctly build the foundation of this department and move us past the status quo to be the cutting-edge department that we are around the world. Thank you, Mr. Chair. In support.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 59 has been adopted, and Resolution 24-50 has passed second reading. From the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 70 be adopted and Bill 7 pass second reading.
Second.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Chair, this relates to declaring the City and County of Honolulu a Purple Heart City.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
Thank you. We're in discussion. Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. In support, I'd just like to thank the council for their continued support of this measure, and especially for the support of all our Purple Heart recipients. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 70 has been adopted and Bill 7 has passed second reading. Moving to the top of page 14, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 71 be adopted and Bill 8 pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Chair, this relates to community workforce agreements.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers, but some in-person testifiers in the chamber.
Thank you. Please proceed. Aloha, welcome.
Hello, Chair, members of the Council. Panametong III, Political Deputy Director for Operating Engineers Local 3. Just wanted to come here down and testify in support of Bill 8. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Please proceed.
Chair and members, Nathaniel Kinihoy, Regional Council of Carpenters. We are also in support of Bill 8. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Any further testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Councilmember Say.
Yeah, I'll be the devil's advocate this morning, but the concern I have in regards to this particular measure, will it affect affordable housing projects that the city does?
We do have Mike Formey, Managing Director, who's been assigned to speak on that. Would you like to ask the administration that question?
That would be fine, yes.
Or Deputy Managing Director?
Good morning, Chair Waters and Council members. Christian Jarrah, I'm Deputy Managing Director. And Councilmember Say, I do apologize, but I think you asked about the impact on affordable housing projects.
For capital improvement projects, yes, at the city level.
So at the city level, I don't expect there to be an impact on the production of affordable housing projects, but I can certainly look at that more carefully and have that discussion with you.
Okay, as we move along with the measure. But the question was just that if it is going to impact affordable housing, that it increases the cost of our city projects, it is a concern for me. Because then we can all say that we're not for affordable housing, workforce housing.
And thank you, Councilman. So I don't expect any impacts, and I can have that discussion with you. Thank you.
And then the other point too, I don't know who drafted it, but maybe for the deputy managing director, I don't know how this measure has a threshold. This measure has a threshold of 2 million capital improvement projects. How did we arrive at 2 million? Why not 5 million? That way we can do some of these affordable housing projects. Bill 7, Bill 1, etc.
So, Councilmember Say, this item really does not have that nexus to affordable housing. But as far as the threshold amount that was set, that was pre-existing from the previous bill.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Tolma.
Thank you, Chair. I got questions for the administration. How many projects were subject to CWA in FY23?
Councilmember Toba, I don't have that answer for you, but I can get that to you.
Okay. So maybe I can get these questions to you, and then if you can get that back to me.
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you. And Krishna, before you sit down, I have a question for the Deputy Managing Director. Could you just recap exactly what Bill 8 does? Because I know that there are questions about the underlying CWA and the arrangement here, but Bill 8 is actually fairly narrow in scope. I mean, it sort of adds just 2 or 3 sentences. What's a practical effect of Bill 8?
Thank you, Councilmember. The practical effect of Bill 8 is that it clarifies when this is applicable, and that's been an issue since the preceding ordinance went into place. And so these are basically, in our view, clarifying measures that make it easier for all of the parties involved to understand when it applies and when it doesn't apply.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say?
With reservations.
Councilmember Tauba?
Reservations.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 71 has been adopted, and Bill 8 has passed second reading. Next, we have a public hearing for Bill 2, CD1, and the proposed CD2 related to public transit. Councilmember Cordero, can you please explain your proposed CD2?
Thank you. The posted proposed CD2, which is at OCS 2024-0198/2/28/2024 at 3:43 p.m., would make the following salient revision to ROH section 15B-2.1, which refers to the fare structure section. In subsection 1, deletes the references to the 7-day pass for adults or youth and replaces it with special reduced term passes for a period of 3 and 7 days to be sold at per pass fare of $20 and $35 respectively. The 3-day pass will be valid for 72 hours after the initial tap on a fare validator, and the 7-day pass will be valid for 168 hours after the initial tap on a fare validator. And those are the proposed CD2 amendments. I do want to also, if I may, thank the Rate Commission for hearing this. I know that it was an added step to this bill for further public discussion as well, as it suggests fare changes as well. So thank you.
Thank you. I note we have Dre Khalili, Honolulu Rate Commission, has signed up to testify. Mr. Clerk, is Ms. Khalili available?
Aloha, Chair Waters. This is Dre Khalili, Chair of the Rate Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of this measure. As Councilmember Cordero just mentioned, the Rate Commission did consider 2 specific items that are in Bill 2, and we did vote to submit this testimony. But in general, in 2023, the Rate Commission did a pretty comprehensive review of policy adjustments that would accomplish a couple of things, including increasing or reducing barriers for ridership, and then looking at different programs that might create more stable revenue sources to support public transit. So among them were large contracted transit passes, as well as other pass products like the ones that are included in the CD2. So on behalf of the Rate Commission, thank you for the opportunity to testify and support.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Khalili. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, there are no other testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Members, I want to note that this is going to be a referral back to committee, as we know that this is very important to be able to have proper discussion through all the different rounds of hearings and readings that we have, and I want to respect that we do continue it in that same manner, and so that's why I just wanted to share that this will hopefully, with your indulgence, go back to committee.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Seeing none, Bill 2, CD1, and the proposed CD2 have been referred to the Committee on Budget. Turning to the top of page 15, third reading measures. From the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 69 be adopted and Bill 26 of 2022, CD2, as amended, pass third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Chair, this relates to gifts to the mayor, prosecuting attorney, council member, and officer or employee, specifically clarifying which gifts to the mayor, the prosecuting attorney, council members, and other city officers and employees may be solicited or accepted.
Thank you. Is there a motion to amend?
Chair, I move to further amend Bill 26 of 2022, CD2, to the proposed FD1 listed as OCS 2024-0301.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation of the amendment.
Chair, this is a hand-carried FD1. It's fairly lengthy, so I'll read the proposals for this proposed FD1. It makes the following amendments. A, in Section 2 of the bill, it first amends the definition of, quote, financial relationship with the city, unquote, to read, a financial relationship with the city in which the person with a financial relationship receives or may receive funds from the city, including via current city contracts, commercial leases within the city, and city concessions, or receives or may receive income from third parties as a result of the financial relationship. The term includes lobbying, but does not include the employer and employee relationship of the city officer or employee with the city, nor does it include financial transactions with the city, such as the receipt of a refund or rebate, the paying of a city tax, parking meter fee or parking lot fee, obtaining a driver's license or identification card, personal automobile registration, the purchasing of a ride or pass for travel on the city's transit, bus, paratransit, or rail transit system, or a similar minimal contact with the city. Second, it removes the definition of indirectly. Third, it adds definitions for the terms official act and official action, and official authority. Fourth, it amends the definition of prohibited source to read, quote, any lobbyist or any person with a financial relationship with the city to whom subsection B applies. Fifth, it removes the definition of single source and relocates the substantive language to subsection D9. Sixth, in subsection B, it clarifies the city officer or employee may not solicit, accept, or receive certain gifts directly or indirectly through a third party, and adds a new subdivision 3 to read, to secure for oneself or others any unwarranted privilege, exemption, advantage, contract, or treatment that is not established by law or rule. Seventh, it removes subsection C and D and redesignates the subsequent alphabetical sections accordingly and relocates the substantive language of subsection D to the newly designated subdivision D9. Eighth, it amends redesignated subsection C to state that the city officer or employee is deemed to have reason to know that a gift is from a prohibited source if the gift is given directly or indirectly through a third party from 1, any person registered as lobbyist under Chapter 3, Article 13, or 2, any person with a financial relationship with the city, provided that the person has appeared before the city officer or employee or a body of which the officer or employee is a member in connection with the person's lobbying activities, financial relationship with the city, or both. Ninth, in subsection D, it clarifies in subsections 1, 2, 3, 5, and 12 that the exempted gifts are ones that have not been solicited by the city official or employee. 10th, it amends redesignated subdivision D6 to read exchanges of negligible or approximately equal value on holidays, birthdays, or other special occasions. 11th, it amends subsection D7 to read exempt typical beverages, meals, or snacks given when attending a conference or a meeting, provided that the value of a meal may exceed a negligible value if the meeting or conference is open to individuals from throughout a given industry or profession, or is attended by individuals who represent a range of persons interested in a given matter. 12th, it adds a new subdivision 9 to subsection D to exempt items customarily given from a single source within a fiscal year that do not exceed a negligible value, provided that items will be deemed to be from a single source if they are being given by owners, partners, officers, directors, lobbyists, representatives, or agents of a single person, and renumbers the subsequent subdivisions accordingly. And 13th, it amends redesignated subdivision D10 to read awards, plaques, certificates, mementos, novelties, culturally significant items, or similar non-monetary items of no resale value given in recognition of or in gratitude for the recipient officers or employees' civic, charitable, political, professional, or public service. And finally, it makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have testifiers? I do note that we have Director Yamane here as well. Actually, Ms. Yamane, would you mind? Would you like to opine on the amendment? Hello and welcome.
Good morning, Chair and council members. My name is Lori Wong-Nowinski, and I'm the Assistant Executive Director and Legal Counsel for the Honolulu Ethics Commission. We stand on our written testimony in regard to Bill 26, CD2, proposed FD1. Actually, the written testimony was in regard to the first proposed FD1. So we mahalo you for the opportunity to testify as to this hand-carried floor draft 1. As Councilmember Dos Santos Tam has summarized, we greatly appreciate the council's and their staff's efforts to work with the commission. We believe that overall, this new floor draft really helps the commission to achieve its goals of clarifying and strengthening the city's gift laws. The new definitions that were added in regard to official act and action, and especially in regard to prohibited source, those comply with national and other state standards. And we believe that having that definition of prohibited source will allow city employees to better be able to understand the gift laws and understand when they can or cannot accept a gift. However, we do ask the City Council to consider or perhaps re-examine the exemption D7, and that is the exemption in regard to meals. Ideally, the commission would suggest that it revert to the original language that was in CD2 and the original draft, which allows an exemption for typical beverages or snacks provided at conferences or meetings in an office. The current language for that exemption states that it applies to meals as well. And we do note, however, that there is some limiting language in there that states that in order for a meal to be accepted greater than negligible value, it has to be for, so to speak, a widely attended gathering that is open to individuals from throughout a given industry or profession, or is attended by individuals who represent a range of persons interested in a given matter. Now, what I want to emphasize here is that the commission is not stating that meals are not acceptable. I think over the years, we've had many requests for advice that come in asking whether, various meals or, certain attendance at various events, whether it's acceptable or not. And the staff attorneys do an analysis and determine whether it can or cannot. And so I guess what the commission is asking for is just to ensure that there is a certain level of self-reflection and accountability. And that was the commission's intent. It was to draw the line, to limit it to snacks and beverages at a conference or meeting in an office. You can still accept a gift of a meal as long as it's not from a prohibited source, as long as the source hasn't made an appearance before you and it doesn't appear to be intended to reward or influence, as long as it's not being used for personal gain. So this exemption, we're asking that it be reverted to the original language so that we can kind of still have that pause, that self-reflection, and that accountability for the taxpayers. And of course, the commission we now have 4 staff attorneys available, so hopefully we can give you an answer as soon as possible to your questions. With that, we do support the overall intent of this floor draft 1. And although that exemption D7, although the language is not ideal, we do support it in moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Mr. Chair, I have deep concerns about the manner of how we are considering this measure. I mean, because I rarely got a chance to look at the FD1, so all of my questions are for the CD2. So just process-wise, would you be opposed to having this measure be recommitted back to the committee, even if it may have to be through the reintroduction of a new measure for time purposes? Because I have a lot of questions on the CD2, not on the FD1. I haven't had time to even look at the FD1. So my question again to you is, would you be opposed to having this recommitted back to a committee? I feel that the chair and his staff did a lot of work on the FD1, and that is more conducive to having a dialogue in committee. Now, if for time purposes, your current measure lapses, then I guess I would be interested and committed to working with the chair of the EMLA committee to have a robust discussion on a reintroduced measure, whether it be the CD2 or FD1. So I guess my question to you, because what's the purpose of me asking you questions on the CD2 when we are entertaining the FD1?
Understood, Council Member. And we would not be opposed to having this measure reintroduced in order to further discussion and to ensure that there is a dialogue.
And I have to tell you, I know that you guys did a lot of good work, as well as the chair. My concern, just off the top of it has to do with financial relationship with the city. It has to do with verbiage on indirectly. It has to do with the approval authority prohibition, exemptions, the impact on relatives, the parents of a staffer's live-in girlfriend, for example, would be impacted. And so the scope of this, it goes beyond, I guess, what I was anticipating, which would be for the council members, right? So I'm just a little worried that if we don't have a deliberative dialogue on such an important issues, we would be doing a disservice even to the general public. And I commit that we will try to get something done before the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you. I appreciate your commitment.
Thank you. We do have a motion pending on the floor. It's a motion to amend. Sounds like you want to make a motion to recommit back to committee, which I have no problem with, but we do have a motion on the floor that needs to be taken care of first. A motion to amend. Unless let's have a discussion on this. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, do you have an objection to recommitting back to your committee?
No, I'm happy to continue this discussion. I've appreciated working with the Ethics Commission staff as well as the commissioners. I do want to applaud, I think there's some outgoing commissioners who spent a lot of time on this. And so I agree with Council Vice Chair Kiaina that I'm also committed to getting something out. We do want a policy that works, it's clear, there are bright lines. And so if it takes a little bit longer to get there, or perhaps a different vehicle since this one expires on April 12th, I'm happy to do that and hear it. We do have EMLA on April 2nd, as well as I think at the end of April.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Then Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, will you be withdrawing your motion to amend at this point?
Well, I think this is an important discussion for us to have. If we're going to reintroduce this, what state do we reintroduce it in and how do we amend it? My preference would be to amend it to the FD1 and then we'll reintroduce as the FD1, although I suppose we could do it either way. We're going to be amending it anyway in committee because there will probably be more work to do. So perhaps for the sake of discussion, I'll withdraw my motion to amend, and that'll make things a little bit easier and allow everyone to reflect on the hand-carried FD1 and whether that should be the vehicle for CD1 in committee.
Thank you. And just to be clear, members, the bill 26 does expire on April 12th. So unless we pass it out today, we're going to have to reintroduce, go through all three readings again, just so everybody's on the same page. Yeah? Okay. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the discussions that we've had. I do support the recommittal to the Executive Matters and Legal Affairs. I appreciate that. I would appreciate if we keep it at the current bill language, and then if there are any amendments, that they are reintroduced as CD1s or committee drafts. That's my preference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, it'll be reintroduced from the very beginning because Bill 26, 2022 will expire on April 12th.
Oh, I see.
So, and anybody is free to introduce any version of this as well. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember Kiaina for the motion to recommit.
I recommend that Bill 26 CD2 be recommended back to the EMLA committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Members in discussion. Councilmember Wire.
Totally respect the discussion, 100%. Just wanted to note reservations.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, Bill 26 CD2 has been re-referred back to Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have to take public testimony. Mr. Clerk, any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one person standing by remotely, Ms. Iwasa.
Okay. Please proceed. Hello, Ms. Iwasa.
Thank you, Natalie Iwasa, for the record. Thank you, Councilmember Kiaina, for bringing up the process, because when I heard at the beginning of the meeting that there was going to be a hand-carried FD1, and then I saw what that amendment entailed, I was very concerned. So thank you so much for allowing this to go back to committee. I'm disappointed that it will take another probably 5 more readings or whatever, but I think we should get it right the first time. So thank you for allowing testimony, and look forward to whatever discussions you have on this going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, motion granted. We're referring Bill 26 CD2 back to the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs. Thank you. Moving to the bottom of page 15 from the Committee on Housing, Sustainability, and Health, Councilmember Wire.
Mahalo, Chair. I move that Committee Report 80 be adopted and Bill 1 pass third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
Relating to herbal cigarettes, specifically raising the age from 18 to 21 to comport with the age that applies to other cigarettes.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina? Aye. Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba? Aye. Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 80 has been adopted and Bill 1 has passed third reading. Moving to the top of page 16, resolutions from the Committee on Budget. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. I move that Committee Report 36 and Resolution 24-22 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution relates to the transfer of funds, and this is for the Honolulu Police Department.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to announce that I did file Council Communications 57s with the City Clerk's office for this particular agenda item. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 36 and Resolution 24-22 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 16, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 60 and Resolution 24-29 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution relates to a transfer of funds, and this is for the Department of Transportation Services.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 60 and Resolution 24-29 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 17, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 61 and Resolution 24-30 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution requests the City Administration to provide an update regarding the installation and maintenance of low-flow fixtures at city parks.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members are in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 61 and Resolution 24-30 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 17, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. I move that Committee Report 63 and Resolution 24-45 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution approves the City and County of Honolulu's 30th year action plan for the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, Emergency Solutions Grants, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program Funds, and authorizing its submittal to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
No,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I
Councilmember
wasn't fast
Kia,
enough. Chair, I just wanted to thank BFS Director Quano and his staff, DPR Director Thielen, and DDC Director Millis for meeting with me to discuss my concerns with the current CDBG programming funds dedicated to park rehabilitation projects. As I said during the Budget Committee, I strongly support funding our parks. But however, I do have concerns about where the funding comes from, especially when the funding can go toward providing crucial support to local nonprofit organizations. I continue to think that the city needs to prioritize awarding CDBG funds to community organizations to support their important work. And while grants and aid funding can be used for a variety of projects, the city has historically awarded CDBG funds for purchases of special needs housing, for example, affordable housing, shelters, and other facilities that support small businesses and services like food pantries. So I will be voting reservations.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Reservation.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Reservations.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 63 and Resolution 24-45 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 18, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 64 and Resolution 24-52 be adopted.
Councilmember Wire for the second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution requests that the city administration provide an update on fiscal year 2023 and 2024 appropriations for projects relating to affordable housing and homelessness.
Thank you. Is there a motion to amend?
Yes, I move that Resolution 24-52 be amended to the hand-carried FD1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation of the amendment.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Committee on Budget for this discussion, which has led to this FD1. The hand-carried FD1 is OCS 2024-0254/3/18/2024 at 4:23 p.m., which makes the following amendments. In the third, be it further resolved clause, it clarifies that the update from the city administration should include a breakdown of funds allotted, awarded, encumbered, or expended from other sources for projects relating to affordable housing and housing the homeless, including but not limited to Community Development Block Grant CDBG program funds, instead of excluding CDBG program funds from the update. And B, makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments. And with that, I once again want to thank the committee for those discussions that we had in our committee hearing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
In support, I just wanted to also echo that CGPD brought up in the previous item and this one, for me, has always been just really gray and hazy. We ask questions. Sometimes we know, we don't know. If money lapses, then it quickly gets moved because they have to spend it somewhere else. Then I have to explain to my community that we didn't really lose the funding, but it went somewhere else. It could come back. So I think us being as transparent as possible, especially when it comes to affordable housing, where we're putting monies, what we're doing with these federal grants, that really the description that's written out for them has been done years ago. So we should be following that description, to be honest. But I think because there's flexibility in it, there is a lot of movement of which it's not only hard for us to understand, but it's hard for our community to understand. So I appreciate these amendments. I am looking forward to having a more clear update from the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you. I want to thank the introducer of this resolution for requesting this information. I think it's incredibly vital for us in our role of working with the administration, but also holding them accountable to make sure that our funding priorities are carried out in a reasonable way. I also hope that in the future, we can continue to get updates from the administration about their policy initiatives, because we know it's not just funding, but it's also the rules, it's also the policies and ordinances which are fully within our control that we should be looking out for and be supportive of in order to create more housing for our people. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Chair, I just wanted to thank Budget Chair Cordero for including CBG funds in her FD1 as part of the city administration's update for projects relating to affordable housing and homelessness. I do know that part of the challenges has been a time frame, but I just feel that we need to get back on the right track. A lot of the parks projects were a continuation from the previous administration. And if you look at the CDBG programs for the rest of the country, I just would say that we could do a better job for the city and county of Honolulu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, any objections or reservations to the motion to amend? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 24-52 has been amended to the hand-carried FD1. Any objections or reservations to waiving Council Rule 19G, the 48-hour notice? Noting no objections or reservations, the 48-hour notice has been waived. We are now in discussion on the FD. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 64 and Resolution 24-52, FD1, has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 18, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 65 and Resolution 24-53 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution approves the write-off uncollectible accounts owed to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members who are in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to note that we had a robust discussion. We know that that these types of resolution comes to us annually, and I know that also these matters come about oftentimes due to consequences out of the city's abilities and capabilities to fine or collect these fines. So with that, I know that there are also efforts maybe that we could discuss with the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services to see how we can further collect these uncollectible fines. But when it comes to things out of our reach, or I hope that we can just get further assistance. And I don't know, maybe we should look at a different process throughout different municipalities and see how that may work. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 65 and Resolution 24-53 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 19, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 66 and Resolution 24-55 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution relates to a transfer of funds within the Department of Transportation Services.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. We're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 66 and Resolution 24-55 has been adopted. Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 67 and Resolution 24-56 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
The resolution approves a communication site lease agreement with T-Mobile West Tower LLC for its existing telecommunication facility within the Honolulu wastewater treatment plant facility in Ewa Beach, Oahu, Hawaii, TMK 9-1-069:003.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, I note that we have Kathy Putt registered to testify from Crown Castle. Is Ms. Putt available?
Council Chair Waters, I'm Melissa Pavlicek on behalf of Kathy Putt. This morning, apologies. She was uncertain about how to participate remotely. We support this measure and appreciate working with the city in renewing this lease, which expired back in 2015.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, any further testimony, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have no other testifiers.
Thank you. We're in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair. We also had a great discussion, not just on this telecommunications, but for telecommunications facilities in general. One of our committee members, Councilmember Say, brought up discussions with the city to possibly have, I guess, further discussions on how we can have set, I guess, agreements or contracts so that they can come, I guess, looking at the rental contract or lease contracts, I should say. But knowing that they are lease contracts with different telecommunications facilities, not facilities, companies, that may be something that the city agency should have to look at to see if there's a way we can have like a master agreement of some sort. But with that, I do want to thank the committee again for having a robust discussion on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 67 and Resolution 24-56 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 20 from the Committee on Budget and Public Safety, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 68 and Resolution 24-31 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
Thank you, Chair. This resolution requests the Honolulu Emergency Services Department and the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services to update the Honolulu City Council on the transfer and billing of ambulance services from the state.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
Thank you. Members are in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just want to thank both chairs, Budget and Public Safety, for this joint hearing. You know, the conversation we had with HESD, especially about ambulances, has been ongoing, as it's fairly new that we've taken over the state side of what they're providing for EMS. I just wanted to make mention that one of the most important lines in this resol says, there's not been an update whether the HESD has in fact created a policy of billing. So I just wanted to emphasize that to the department, as we had also requested that they explain the purpose, requests, mission, stats for CORE, as this is very integrally related. So it's nice to have us get all kinds of explanations, but we need to see what is the policy, what are the outcomes, and has that, you know, is that core team affecting this, which is the goal of it, right, was to bring down how many people are picking up. Okay, so how is the billing going? So we do want to thank Dr. Island for always coming, but if we could have anything written in a clear policy, I think it would help us. As stated in this reso, it's for budgeting purposes. We're trying to figure out exactly what's going on and how much we're either losing out on or whether or not it's just kind of bleeding out for us to keep pursuing efforts that may not be producing the outcome that we want. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 68 and Resolution 24-31 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 20 from the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Dos Santos Town.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 72 and Resolution 24-49 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Chair, this urges the mayor to issue a proclamation declaring the city and county of Honolulu a Purple Heart city and county to express gratitude for and honor the service and sacrifice of members of the United States Armed Forces who were wounded or killed in the line of duty.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. We're in discussion. Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. In support, thank you for hearing this measure today. Chair, I'd like to thank Takumi Abe, Edward Kirkshank, and members and supporters of the Purple Heart Rainbow Charter for the opportunity that we have to honor them and those like them for their service to our country. I'm deeply grateful for the sacrifices these brave men, women, and their families. Our country owes you a great deal of gratitude, and we are humbled to honor you in this way. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 72 and Resolution 24-49 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 21, from the Committee on Zoning, Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report number 76 and Resolution 24-24, Committee Draft 1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
This is granting a special management area major permit to allow for the construction of a new single-family detached dwelling with an integrated garage and other improvements in New Oahu.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
Thank you. Members are in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Dupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 76 and Resolution 24-24 CD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report number 77 and Resolution 24-38, Committee Draft 1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
Okay, this one is granting a special management area major permit to allow for the replacement of the Ono Vista condominium wastewater treatment plant in Wailua, Oahu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
Thank you. Members.
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 77 and Resolution 24-38 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 22, Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that committee report number 78 and resolution 24-39, committee draft 1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
Once more is granting a special management area major permit to allow for the construction of improvements to the track and field facilities at the Waianae High School in Waianae, Oahu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, yes, we have one testifier standing by.
Okay, please proceed.
Chair, the testifier is not responding.
Okay, I do note that Amanda Waki and John Muraoka have signed up and they are available for questions if anybody has questions. Seeing none, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thanks so much, Chair. I'm happy that we're discussing this and passing this out today. Definitely we're able to play a small part in the efforts of the DOE and our state senators and representatives. From the 1980s to the 1997, Waianae High School won multiple OIA football championships, and they were the school to beat. One of the most notable coaches, Larry Ginoza, coached for about 20 years, won multiple back then Prep Bowl championships. He'd be super happy to see this day. There's so many players, coaches, and families who built memories around the Waianae football field, and through the years, we've seen Waianae athletics expand. Last year, Department of Education came through the council to get an SMA for the Waianae High School girls locker room. This was a huge step in the right direction for Title IX sports and female athletes on the west side. We're grateful to the legislature, and I know the DOE is listening in. We're grateful to your continued support of Waianae athletics. By prioritizing organized sports programs, we can not only promote physical health, but also alternatives to negative behaviors. Engaging youth in
Thank you. Any objections or reservations to waiving Council Rule 19G, the 48-hour notice? Noting no objections or reservations, the 48-hour notice has been waived. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, yes, we have several testifiers logged on.
Is this it?
I note that we do have a number of registered testifiers, starting with Francois Duval Arnold.
Mr. Chair, that testifier is not logged on.
Okay. Next is Christine Atoza.
Thank you, council members. My name is Christine Aroza. I'm a volunteer community member representing High Good Neighbor. I strongly support Resolution 2465. Supporters of the state's bill have been misled. Affordable housing will not be built if this bill goes through as is. The bill does not include language to ensure affordability and to disincentivize investors and out-of-state buyers from outbidding local families. We can't give false hope to people that a developer is going to buy $1 million property, build 2 or 3 homes, and then sell it for an affordable price. They will design, build, and sell to what the market will bear, and it will not be affordable housing for working class families. They are not in the business of breaking even. That is why the bill needs to, at the very least, include language to ensure affordability. if that is indeed what the state is trying to encourage and get built. Supporters believe there will be a flood of housing which will reduce rent and home prices. Unfortunately, we don't have a massive residential lots for that to happen. And for families that own property, Honolulu County already allows for ADUs and Ohana units. The problem is that our working class families can't afford to build. I believe the state or the city is already looking towards providing grants for homeowners to build ADUs. I think that's a great step forward. So council members, I urge you to oppose SB 3202, especially if it does not include affordability language. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Next, we have Janine Johnson, followed by Ted Kafalas.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Johnson is not logged on.
Okay. Is Ted Kafalas available? Oh, there he is. Hello, Mr. Kafalas. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Kia Aina, Council Members, Ted Kafalas with Grassroots Institute of Hawaii. Again, we feel that this proposed resolution is a mistake, and it's disappointing that it seems like you guys are trying to fast track this reso. The agenda says this reso is expressing strong concerns for the bill, but when you actually read it, it is opposing the bills. And while I can appreciate some of the steps that Council has taken to address the housing shortage, it is not nearly enough. It's ironic that you guys say you're in favor of building more housing, yet when more housing is trying to be built, you create a resolution that opposes that, even going so far as to say that these would create slums and with people more prone to fights, fires, and diseases in the original version. This just underscores why the state needs to get involved. And while there are concerns that the bills would legalize monster homes, that's just not true. At Thursday's hearing, DPP Director Apuna flat out confirmed these bills do not impact their ability to go after illegal monster homes. I just want to end by underscoring the recent anthology study in which 87% of respondents said that they agreed with the specific provisions of this bill. It's not just a vague, do you want more?
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay. Followed by Whitney Bosell.
Thank you. Sorry, can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
This is Whitney Bosel for the record. Council members, thank you. I would like to strongly urge the council to adopt the resolution 2465 because while we may need further development on Oahu, it must remain planned and considered. And these bills literally take away the ability to manage growth and instead allow it wherever someone proposes it. I understand completely the strong desire for more housing and for housing immediately, but that doesn't change the simple reality that some areas of our island will be better able to handle that development than others, and county departments ought to be able to continue to have oversight, not be divorced from their authority by the state. In order to care for the land so that it can continue to care for all of us, we need to direct growth in a thoughtful manner. It comes down to, does the City Council think that our city departments ought to be restricted in their designated authority by the state decree, or should the power to regulate growth 7% of those who responded to that poll? And I've seen a lot of testimony on the Senate and House bills that come from the construction, development, finance industries that will directly profit from passage of bills like this. And so I ask you, in considering that testimony as you consider supporting this resolution, any testimony from someone who is directly vested in what they're proposing. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Next we have Arjuna Haim, followed by Chun James.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay. I see Chun James there. Please proceed.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Wonderful. Okay, while the intention may be good, we need to remember that Stanley Chang has been highly promoting ideas like building 1,000 units on an acre and so on. He has led contingents to learn about Singapore's affordable housing program. And even the former HART CEO, Andrew Robbins, took the trip. So the idea was to learn insights for the Honolulu Real Affordable Housing along the rail route. So what's happening to that promise to build affordable housing along the rail corridor for our residents? And also, there are a lot of questions, and I just wanted to throw out a few that we do not have to copycat California, mess up planning. California, about 75,000 Californians left in 2003. Businesses are closing and living, crime and homelessness are rampant. Billionaires are actually ganging up to build their own utopia city in Solano County. And so it appears that we should think twice before we even copycat California. And so here are some quick concerns and comments. So we're already cutting ourselves below the knees when we do that. And what is stopping investors to come in and buy properties in residential, single-family residential communities and stack homes up like sardine to rent? And the local people have to put up with the impact. And it also, this is a very important one too. It has to be noted that almost the entire island of Oahu is designated as urban district in the state land use classification. There seems to be a lot of confusion there. The urban classification covers Oahu's agriculture and business zones as well. So why are the two legislators usurping county rule? Why are they stopping the residents from the freedom to choose the communities they want to live in? We cannot force every resident to live in only high-density neighborhood. Some prefer high-rises, some prefer townhouses, some like homes with yard. Our children certainly need to have some yard to play around. Some choose to be city mouse and others want to be a country mouse. And there are also use of discrimination as a reason to support these two bills. Unfortunately, discrimination and inequity will become more pronounced with the two state bills because the community that have existing sewer services will be allowed to build up. Rural communities with cesspools and septic tanks and leach field that require space and distance will be the one that will be discriminated, and that is inequity and discrimination. And the existing state condominium regime, CPR, has been in existence for years, and it allows the subdivision of smaller lots into higher density in single-family dwelling. It's also contradictory to argue that the motive is to keep families together through affordable housing, but also to enjoy equity of home ownership. So if we are trying to hold families together, selling that extra home for equity is counterproductive, right? Chances are high also that the new buyer, wherever that buyer could come from, could possibly disrupt the quality of life for other family members.
Thank you. Can I ask you to wrap up, please?
Yes, okay, thank you. So really, the Oahu General Plan is a good plan that is more well thought. It covers compulsory aspects like planning, populations, balanced economy, nature environment, housing and communities, transportation, fiscal development, urban design, public safety and community resilience, health and education, culture and recreation, and so on and so forth. So I submit to you that while these two bills might have good intention, it really is very lacking in deliberations. And so thank you for expressing your concerns. And we hope that we can see better bills. It can happen if it's through the participation of all concerned and not just the building industry and those who who love to design cities just on paper with no practical experience. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
That's it. Yeah, Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Excuse me?
That concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola?
Thanks so much, Chair, and thank you to to our planning committee for having a conversation about this and everyone who came out. Definitely appreciate, well, one, us getting involved in decisions at the legislature. I can't emphasize how important that is in this instance and in many other instances where it's going to directly affect the city. Secondly, I think for purposes of where the bill is at, because there's a scheduled hearing next Monday, 2 p.m. with the committees that are hearing this bill, just want to keep emphasizing that that's where the decision's being made, not here. So definitely for everyone who's passionate on either side of the issue, that's where your voice goes. And I do think that the chairs of the 3 committees that are meeting, you know, of the 6 of them that are going to be there, 4 of the 6 are on this island, meaning that they represent one of our districts, 4 of the 6 of them. We have Luke Evelinson, Micah Ayu, Linda Ichiyama, Poi Poi Mahina, Dave Tarnas, Greg Takayama. So just Dave and Poi Poi are actually our neighbor islands. Everyone else is here. So I do think that it's important for us, especially because we convene in areas and committees where we want the public's voice, is that we work through these amendments. And I read through all the testimony. And I will say that the testimony from our director was in support for the most part. She did recommend some amendments, as well as the director for DPP for Kauai suggested some really good amendments too, to preserve the county powers, preserve the community planning, and as well our sustainable communities plan. So I think for me, for this resolution, I do think that the amendments they suggested are important, that we get these amendments talked to and put into the bill. I don't stand in opposition to it. I do think that I'm a no vote on this resolution because I think the process is moving. This would be like somebody voting no on Bill 64, but we're still in the middle of discussing it. I think we should insert our voices and try to get these amendments inserted. And I did call leadership in the House and in the Senate, and they are taking amendments and they are taking this to committee. Unless somebody can show me a vote sheet that says otherwise, they are just as concerned that the House is kind of divided on this. So they don't want to enrage anyone. As you know, the highest concern in our legislature right now is Maui. And so a lot of them are being very careful with the decisions they're making. A lot of scrutiny is coming to the legislature for their decisions about any housing decisions. So respectfully, I'll be voting no on this resolution, but I do encourage anyone, especially even in this council, to testify at that hearing. I testified in the Ways and Means last week to try to get some of our prosecutor money back, but we are not prohibited from saying our voices at the state legislature, and I think we need to. So again, thank you to the introducer and thank you to the committee. I'll respectfully be voting no.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Wire, followed by Councilmember Tolba.
Mahalo, Chair, and appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation. Just wanted to note that my reading of this is that we're opposing House Bill 1630 and Senate Bill 3202 in their current form. That the exemption request was only if it passed without amendments, and that one of the be it resolved expresses those, those concerns as well. And so we'll be supporting the resol, but understanding that I'm assuming this conversation is going to continue, and I know yourself and others have been reaching out and talking with the committee chairs, and my hope is that they'll also continue to be open with conversation, because I do think that there's a lot of components of this, like is mentioned, that obviously we want to be supporting affordable housing and all mechanisms. We also want to ensure that the bills have sufficient criteria for DPP to reject the bills if it's going to negatively impact a particular area, especially understanding that the bills affect pretty much all of Oahu, all of our districts, because even though it's state urban or whatever the designation is, that falls across, I think, even what folks would consider rural parts of Oahu. And I think just with that in mind, and the conversation we had at the last hearing about a need to maybe have safeguards to ensure that like we talked about earlier, that we don't have, out-of-state investors swooping in and buying up these properties and turning them into investment opportunities and just push folks out, as we've been seeing over the past few years. So we'll be supporting the resolution with that mindset, because I'm always of the mindset that we need to continue conversation on any topic, right? I know sometimes people have to have their, feet drug into it. And sometimes it's a painful process where people might react with various reactions, but at the end of the day, we're working towards having just an honest, transparent conversation on all topics. And so I appreciate all the work that you've already put into this. So mahalo for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tolba.
Chair, I just wanted to say that I'm voting with reservations. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I also want to I want to vote with WR on this, and it will be because I think that this is an incredibly nuanced discussion that we need to be a part of, and the state, in the process of this, I don't think that they have included, our voices and the constituents who we represent, and I wanted to have the opportunity to express that as part of my vote. There's a lot of concerns here that I've heard from constituents. I think that I've heard also, the supporters of this bill genuinely saying, we need more housing. My concern is that this may not be the way to do it. In fact, the proposals here, I'm not convinced that this is going to make a huge dent in what we're trying to do for our island home. We have an ADU process of which 800, 900 people have taken advantage of. If we create this pathway for additional people to put in 2 accessory dwelling units, if people haven't put in 1, I find it hard to believe that people would be clamoring tomorrow to put in 2. We also have the ability to subdivide right now, and people are not banging on the doors of DPP to subdivide their lots and do this. The changes that we need to make, and we see this at every zoning hearing, it's that there are challenges to creating apartment units. There's challenges to creating units that are accessible to the 60, 80, 100% AMI group. Those are the policies that I think we need to be targeting here as a council, and that's why I think we need to be part of this discussion on the state side. And so, I will be voting yes on this, but I wanted to make that notation, and I hope the folks over at the legislature across the street hear that, the importance of bringing us, the 9 of us, into this discussion. And they have, they are going to have this hearing on Monday. We have a couple days to start this discussion, but I think it is critically important that moving forward, we're part of this. I'll make one last point before I wrap up. In 1981, when the state created the Ohana zoning policy, they put forward a legislation that didn't actually look a whole lot like this. They said the counties may do this, and the counties can do this under certain parameters. They laid out the framework rather than saying, you counties shall do this, that's it. And it took the council at that time a whole year, until 1982, to come up with our Ohana zoning ordinance. Subsequently, it was amended in 1988. It took years for this to be implemented, and it took a real dedication on the part of the city council members then, as well as the legislature, to work together on this, rather than one side of Punchbowl Street telling the other side of Punchbowl Street, here's what you'll do, and that's it. So that's it for me, and I hope that we'll have the opportunity to have a really robust discussion with them about moving forward on housing together.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I'll be very brief. I'm in strong support of the measure that is before us. That's number 1. Number 2, I'd like to recognize the office of the clerk in accepting all testimonies for and against this particular resolution. And finally, I said my piece when we had our hearing, and my point today is this. The question would be, for me, home rule. And I think your statement was excellent in regards to the Oahu General Plan that we have developed, the development plans, the sustainable community plans. What they're saying to me across the street, just throw all those plans away. And I'm trying to listen to the residents of District 5. And I said that for the record, that District 5 has the most developments because we are in the primary urban center. The residents of Manoa are concerned. The residents of St. Louis Heights, Kapahulu Kaimiki, Palolo, Sierra Drive, Ainakoa, moving on to Manoa, Moilili, Makali. That's where the gentrification that the general public wants for more housing. The key will be for me is that I've seen this past 3 years that there is no support for affordable housing if we don't even put money in infrastructure. In the old days, it was always the state and the counties that did put the monies for the infrastructure to help subsidize affordable housing. Today, we are the very ones that are making it much more difficult for affordable housing. But it was because of our predecessors. I said to the general public at large, there are 7 or 8 different county ordinances that affect the cost of housing. Park dedication, school impact fees, border water supply hookup, building permits, everything. And that's where I think the general public has to understand this county has bent over backwards. In closing, why I say that, Mr. Chair, all affordable housing are exempt from real property tax, perpetuity. You and I are paying, subsidizing. And I can see now that they're going to try to do this, it's just reverse. Because yeah, when I subdivide, let's say my home on 10th Avenue into 3 homes, my property values are going to go up. And my surrounding neighborhood is going to go up in property value. Is this what we want for the future of Oahu? The density increase. That's why I said to you, Mr. Chair and members of the council, that, hey, where there's increased density, give this particular District 5 more resources. More resources with police, fire, EMS, Opala, you name it. Give them more because we have more people representing the county of Oahu. So in closing, I'm in strong support of the resolution at this point in time. To my friends across the street, hey, let's have this kind of a discussion. And I think what has been very, very helpful for all of us as far as the education, please attend your neighborhood board meetings, your town hall meetings, and community meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. I fully support this measure. While I appreciate the state legislature's efforts to increase housing availability on the island of Oahu, I am deeply concerned that as drafted, the state bills will not achieve its intended objective to help local families. To the contrary, they discount the city's and community's land use and planning processes while having no affordable or occupant-owner provisions to ensure local families are able to buy or live in these new housing units. I also worry that the bills will instead increase speculation by outside investors whose sole motivation will be financial gain while disrupting the quality of life and character of our residential communities. As a Native Hawaiian, I take very seriously the need for affordable housing to keep our local families home in Hawaii. It is the reason this council has adopted policies that relax development standards in the apartment districts, provide financial incentives and even more funding for affordable housing, approve numerous 201H and IPDT projects, and aggressively enforce short-term rentals. It is also the reason the Planning and the Economy Committee, which I chair, has approved amendments to the city's land use ordinance through Bill 64, 2023, that will increase the production of affordable housing by allowing apartments on underutilized lands in business districts and by allowing 2 additional dwelling units in residential districts. So thank you for calendaring this measure today.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, noting the objections of Councilmember Tupola and reservations of Councilmembers Tolba and Dos Santos Tam, any other objections or reservations? Seeing none, CR 81 and Resolution 24-65 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 24, Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that the balance of committee reports be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
EMLA Committee Report 73, Request for authorization to deem $7,010.83 in overpayment of accrued vacation leave and advance payroll be deemed uncollectible, and that the city not seek reimbursement from a former employee. EMLA Committee Report 74, request for authorization to settle a case against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Jonathan Perkins Sinapati et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu et al.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, the balance of committee reports has been adopted. There is no unfinished business. Turning to page 25, new business. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 24-59 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Council Member Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution accepts a gift of a Hawaiian hawk enclosure valued at $53,423 to the city from the Honolulu Zoo Society for installation at the Honolulu Zoo.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. We're in discussion, members. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. This question is for the department. And the question is if we already have the Hawaiian hawk and what the enclosure is like now, and if this expands the enclosure for them. Oh, maybe I'll repeat it.
Tracy Kubota, Deputy Director, Department of Enterprise Services. Thank you for that question. So we currently have 2 Hawaiian hawks, and we do have an exhibit, but we are making one that is closer to the nene, and it's going to be separated so that they can provide for the 2. So this is a good gift that we had requested support on, so we really appreciate the Zoo Society support.
Okay, thank you. So that means the Deputy Director Kubota, so that means it's expanding but also relocating them.
Correct.
Okay, but we're not separating the hawks.
No, so actually what we've got are 2 non-releasable birds that we have gotten in our possession to care for them so that, people can be educated and we can provide that understanding that we have the native bird species in our zoo. So it gives them a good opportunity for visitors to see that and learn from it.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Kia Aina, what is the Hawaiian word for the Hawaiian hawk?
Oh.
Actual Director, do you know? Io. Correct.
Well, you never even make me reply. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
No, thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Any further questions for the Deputy Director? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 24-59 has been adopted. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 24-68 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution accepts a gift of lodging valued at approximately $1,200 from the Mayor of Baguio City, Philippines, to the city for council members and staff to participate in the 2024 Honolulu Philippine Sister City Goodwill Mission from February 24th to the 25th, 2024.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 24-68 has been adopted. There are no items for the Committee on the Whole or executive session. Are there any announcements? Seeing none, Vice Chair Kia Aina for the motion to adjourn.
I move that the meeting stand adjourned until Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 at 10 a.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any objections? Noting none, the council stands adjourned until Wednesday, April 17th at 10 a.m. Thank you, members.